When South Dakotans need reliable information, SDPB is there providing updates and coverage that keep our communities safe and connected. Good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB. SDPB celebrates South Dakota's student athletes with live coverage of SDHSAA state championships, sharing the excitement of hometown heroes. SDPB. Good, useful, and full of wonder.
Good morning. We are going to call House Ag and Natural Resources Committee to order. I want to welcome everybody here. If you got a phone, let's silent them. We also want to greet our listeners who are online listening and watching now, I guess. With that, I'm going to ask the Secretary to call the roll, please.
Representative Goodwin, excused. Hunt,
Here.
Ismay,
Here.
Ladner, excused. May, Knowles,
Here.
Peterson,
Here.
Rice, Schubeck,
Here.
Stipin,
Here.
Whitman, Gosh,
I'm here.
Overweg.
Here.
Mr. Chair, we have a quorum.
Okay, we have a quorum. How about the minutes? Has anybody read the minutes? It is moved by Representative Gosh, seconded by Representative Knowles to approve the minutes. All those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? They are approved. Okay, I'm going to remind testifiers to sign in the back. Ensure you lobbyists are wearing your right badges and we can see them. Testifiers also, if you have handouts, we have pages that will do that for you. And with that, let's have the pages come up and introduce themselves. Tell us where you're from and hopefully where you're going.
I'm Grant Cutler. I am a senior in high school. I'm from Claremont, and I'll be going to the Air Force in July.
Well, good job.
I'm CJ Moses. I'm from Pierre. I go to TF Riggs High School, and I'm going to South Dakota School of Mine Technology to major in engineering.
All right, sounds good.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, Representative Schubeck.
I'd like to make an introduction. Can I have a personal privilege, please?
Perfect timing. I was just going to ask if there was some.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Jake and Sean Krebs, could you please stand? So Jake Krebs is one of my athletes I coach in track and field. He's here for Teen Pact, and he's one of our homeschool kids. He's a great kid, and just want to welcome him here. And his dad was also a Marine, so always got to recognize that. So thanks for coming, guys.
All right, thank you. We also have South Dakota Agribusiness Association's 2026 class of tomorrow's ag leaders with us. Leadership plus professionalism developmental program. Guys and gals, thank you for coming and welcome. Representative Rice, you sure may.
I'm just going to introduce my husband again. He showed up last night, so he's hanging around with me a couple days, and so I just wanted to welcome him here.
Go, thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Representative Gosh.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to introduce Representative Julie Alk. I think she's the only one we haven't mentioned, so she's filling the...
Well, it's crossover week, and we're ahead of schedule, which is why we're messing around here. Okay, Chair wants to remind that all testimony will go through the chair, and with that, let's get started on our business today. We have two bills. First one is House Bill 1299, permit the use of biological filtration systems in water recreational facilities located in certain lodging establishments. Is there any proponent testimony? Welcome, Representative.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. So I am Representative Nicole Uri-Balk from District 32. And under current South Dakota rules, public pools and water recreational facilities, including those at hotels and lodging establishments, must meet minimum public health and safety standards established by the Department of Health. In practice, that framework assumes continuous chemical disinfectant systems, routine water testing, and department inspections and compliance with construction, safety, and operational rules. House Bill 1299 does not remove any of those requirements. Instead, it creates a narrowly tailored pathway for small lodging establishments, those with 15 or fewer sleeping rooms, to apply for a permit to use a biologically filtration system in their water recreational facility. The purpose of this bill is to allow innovation while maintaining oversight. Biological filtration systems use natural processes, plants, beneficial bacteria, and microbes to filter water without relying on continuous chemical disinfectant residuals. These are engineered, sealed systems designed in accordance with recognized standards and are not just decorative ponds. I will defer to the experts testifying online for the detailed science of how these systems function, but at a high level, they separate the swimming zone from the biological filtration zone and rely on mechanical and biological processes to maintain water quality. But let's briefly walk through this bill. With only one section, this bill allows a qualifying small lodging establishment to apply for an annual permit from the department to use a biological filtration system. The facility must still meet all existing minimum public health and safety requirements for water recreational facilities. Applicants must submit a document submit documentation demonstrating how that system will meet department-established water quality outcomes. And the department must inspect the system annually. And if the facility fails inspection, the permit is revoked, and the establishment may not reply for at least 1 year. Finally, the department is directed to promulgate rules regarding application requirements, maintenance standards, testing procedures, and a modest permit fee capped at $50. We won't be the first to do this. The first natural swimming pool was built in Austria in 1980 and remains in operation. The first public natural swimming pool in North America opened in Minneapolis in 2015. Also, Oregon, Georgia, and Nevada have also recently updated their laws to allow more flexibility in pool systems. For South Dakota, this represents a modest, carefully regulated step that could open new tourism and lodging amenities, create differentiated revenue streams for small operators, and reduce reliance on chemical inputs where safer alternatives exist. So, Mr. Chair, I will stand by for questions. The technical experts joining remotely are better equipped to answer the detailed operational questions, but I appreciate the committee's consideration of this measured approach to innovation.
Thank you, Representative. Okay, is there any further proponent testimony to House Bill 1299 in the room? Seeing none. Representative, is there a representative? Representative Yuri Balk? Is there anybody special you'd like me to start with online, or just go down the list? You can start with Kathy. With who? Jared Kapp. Okay, Mr. Kapp, can you hear me? Mr. Kapp, you must be muted, sir. or
Yes,
something.
sir, I can.
There you go. Okay, would you please introduce yourself
There we
and
go.
give us your testimony? Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it. Yes, my name is Jared Kapp. I'm a Spearfish native and representative. I left when I was 18 to join the Air Force, like the young man, the page that you have there as well, and traveled the world, 65 countries, all continents, and all 50 states. And through my travels, a builder by trade, a fan of innovation and technology and systems. I came back here to build my dream home with my wife and daughter. And part of that is a resort that we built in Spearfish called Shortgrass Resort. It is a nature-forward resort option in the Black Hills. And as part of that, this natural pool, which I've been working with BioNova on, who will have testimony later, is we wanted to give guests an option. We're seeing an increasingly amount of people that have chemical sensitivities and frankly, people that just don't want to swim in a chlorine pool is really part of it. And and this is a very cool system that it's not new. And it's very innovative for us, but it is not new to the world. And I'm really excited to be here to answer any questions you guys have and to be considered for this. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now we're going to go to an Ellen Schnack. I'm sorry, I'm just killing your name, but Schnack or Snack, can you hear me?
It's all right. Thank you very much.
There you
It's
go. Would you
Alan
introduce
Schnack.
yourself and give us your testimony, please?
Yes, thank you, sir. My name is Alan Schnack. I am Vice President of BioNova. I've been in the swimming pool industry all my years, serving an extended period of time, 3 decades, in the chemical side of the pool industry, selling pool chemicals to companies, service companies, distribution through major distributors and manufacturers. I joined forces with James, my partner, James Robin, at BioNova about 7 years ago, and kind of completed the circle of my studies. I initially began study in school with marine biology and the sciences, and ultimately just have had a career in the pool industry. My understanding of biology and science, I think, also with the intricacies and mechanics of the swimming pool industry, give me a pretty good perspective to help the listeners and those joining us today recognize that what's being presented with biological filtration is really no different than the approach that's being used for chemical treatment. The objective of chemical treatment is to suppress the growth of potentially pathogenic organisms in the water. And the chemical system does that by metering, monitoring, and adding aggressive biocides in order to sterilize the water and prevent and suppress any growth activity. I compare this action to like chemotherapy in the pool. All beneficial as well as detrimental organisms are killed. There's no distinction. And as a result, the natural biome is killed. It's killed out. So because we've removed nature, we have to replace it with an artificial means. And through the use of biocides like chlorine, bromine, biguanide, and there's several EPA registered sanitizers, it accomplishes that, but not without a lot of work. Testing, pH control, water balance, all those parameters are important in order to ensure that the chemistry actually works. Now, the beauty behind biological filtration is there's none of that micro manipulation of water balance. So the water becomes what it wants to become in the area that it resides. So Spearfish, North Dakota is perhaps different than my climate zone down here on the coast of South Carolina, but the reality is nature adjusts in her own given biome. With that being the case, when we create a healthy biome, and what we do with biological filtration is we just optimize the conditions that allow the natural microbiology to occur. That microbiology can occur in a fast-moving stream or in a pond-like environment. The three parameters required for stable environmental growth is nutrients, the water temperature, and the flow of the water. And by managing those things through technology, we can enhance the removal of naturally born nutrients that are falling in the water, remove them, feed the biome, and that circular food web continues to go. It's not magic. It's nature, and it's been doing this for eons and eons, and all we're doing is adapting methods of control so that it makes it manageable for recreational water.
Okay, thank you. We're going to move on to a James Robin. Are you on, sir? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Will you please introduce yourself and give us your short testimony, please? Thank you.
Sure. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm the president and CEO of BioNova Natural Pools. We're a U.S. company. We specialize in the consulting, design, and support of biologically filtered natural swimming pools. And since 2008, we have completed successful installations around the U.S. and Canada. The concept began in Europe in the 1980s, and today there are hundreds of public pools in Europe, in municipalities, in hotels and campgrounds, and thousands of private ones that operate successfully. In the U.S., we have hundreds of private installations and one notable public example that I'll mention shortly. I also serve on the board of directors of the International Organization for Natural Bathing Waters, the IOB, which is headquartered in Bremen, Germany. And through the IOB, I'm familiar with the European regulations and the best practices for public natural swimming pools, which have operated for decades there. Alan Schnock, who just spoke, serves on the committee for the developing of the standards by the CDC's Model Aquatic Health Code for the U.S. and the ANSI, ANSI Swimming Pool Standards Committee. And he can speak to those if you want to ask him questions. Chlorine's purpose in a pool is to kill everything in the water except for the swimmers. And yet, for millennia, humans have safely used freshwater ponds, streams, and rivers. Nature has evolved sophisticated ways to suppress harmful pathogens with zooplankton, phytoplankton, the nitrogen cycle, aquatic plants, and biofilms. And what we're doing is we're replicating these processes in a natural pool. We did the first technical consulting for the U.S.'s first public natural swimming pool at Weber Park in Minneapolis, which has delivered clear, safe, chemical-free water for over 10 years while meeting their rigorous public health standards. The facility is very popular. People love swimming in the natural water. The natural water supports the skin's natural microbiome and gives you a gentle therapeutic swimming experience. It eliminates chemical runoff and It supports South Dakota's natural resources priorities and appeals to eco-conscious tourists, as Cappy was referring to. My colleague Ryan Harmer, also here this morning, has managed NSP projects around the country, and he can explain why many prefer swimming in chemical-free water. Some people don't want to swim in chemicals. They like swimming in natural water, and it's a choice people should be allowed to make. We strongly support HB 1299 and urge you to pass it. And we and the IOB stand ready to assist the committee and any regulators with technical expertise, European standards, scientific data, case studies, any questions, and we'd be happy to work with you on it. And I'd be happy to answer any questions this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Robin. Now we're looking for Jonathan Harmer. Jonathan Harmer, are you on? Can you hear us?
Yep, that's me.
Please introduce yourself and give us your short testimony, please.
Sure. Name's Jonathan Ryan Harmer. Spent 14 years in the Navy. James brought me on board. I believe the quote was he wanted somebody who could take orders and give orders. So now I'm one of the project managers here. I build the pools, I maintain the pools, service them, and interact with all the customers. And so I'm here to talk about mainly the benefits, but why people are being drawn to the natural swimming pools. So to get right down to it is the swimming that they offer a refreshing, healthier, and more immersive experience than the traditional chlorinated pools. And mainly it's because it's chemical free. There's no chlorine that irritates. We already went into, people are lactose intolerant and they have irritations to other things. Well, a lot of people have irritations to chlorine. That's red eyes, dry, itchy skin, the bleached hair, respiratory irritation. That's when your nose is really kind of hurt after you're swimming in a chlorine pool. In a natural pool, the water feels soft, it's soothing, it's natural against the skin. Many of the clients describe it as a more refreshing, a more therapeutic swim, and it encourages longer and more relaxed swims. The health and wellness appeal is huge. When I talk to clients, the biologically filtered water, as we already talked, it supports the natural skin's microbiome. It doesn't have any harmful irritants like the chlorine that's killing those helpful, beneficial organisms on your skin. And that promotes more physical activity. You're swimming longer, you're reducing stress. Users have noted mood boosting benefits from the natural setting. And of course, you're outside, you're getting vitamin D, exposure, all of those things. And unique, enjoyable experience. They find the water cooler, more invigorating in the summer. It has a natural hue, vice the Windex blue color. The water is still clear, it's clean, and the families are appreciating that safer, gentler option for the kids and the sensitive swimmers. And it's really the biggest number one, and I'll finish on this, is they're coming to us because they want an eco-friendly and a sustainable pool. The natural pools mimic the natural ecosystems, plants, beneficial microbes. There's just a gentle circulation. There's no toxic chemicals polluting the environment or running off to wildlife. James also touched on it. In a chemical pool, you have to backwash those pools. That chlorine water either goes in your yard, it goes into the sewer systems, where some places allow you to just backwash into the streets and the sewers, and that's all harmful to the wildlife. And the sustainable aspect is a lot of people are moving to these pools so that they can have a guilt-free swim, because they're reducing that carbon footprint of all that goes into making the chemicals, the production, the factories, the packaging, the shipping of the chemicals to, stores to buy it, you driving. And that's really driving them to a more eco-friendly, sustainable, guilt-free swim in their own backyards or a resort like this. So that's all I got. Thank you for
sir.
having me.
Appreciate it. Now we're looking for a Jesse Dutra. Are you on, sir? Can you hear me? Looks like you're muted yet. Give you just a minute here to try to unmute yourself. It's not us on our side, is it? No, it's on your side, sir, if you can hear us. Your mute button is on. Well, the good news is I don't think there's any opposition to the bill, so if we can't hear you, I'm not sure yet, but we should be. Okay, you know what? I'm going to move on, and if you get it fixed, we can always give you a chance to pop in here, okay? There you go. Now you're off.
All right.
There you go.
That was strange. That's never happened to me before.
Well, introduce yourself and give us your short testimony, please.
Sure, no problem. Short. My name's Jesse Dutra. I got introduced to the natural swimming pool over 15 years ago. I found Bionova when they were first coming into the United States. And I've seen these pools in Europe, big public swimming pools. I've seen from Poland to Portugal, and learned a lot about them. And I just like to say that these systems really work. I built one in my own home. I've built multiple natural swimming pools and consulted throughout the country. And they work well. And I can explain why, but I think everyone before me has already done that. So I will just like to mention that I'm extremely happy to see this bill coming forward, and hope that we can get it through to give Cappy and the rest of the state of South Dakota the opportunity to have one of these highly effective technologies. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Okay. Any further proponent testimony? Okay. You come on up and introduce yourself and give us your testimony.
Dr. Eldon Rice, didn't expect to testify, but as it happens, I've had 4 years of chemistry and lots of biology, and I also had a license to service swimming pools in the county of Los Angeles when I was going through college, so I know quite a bit about this. So I like the idea. The problem with using chlorine is with a high bather load and a small body of water is you get chloramines and other things that don't disinfect the water, but you still have the chlorine in there, and it's hard to drive them off. And it smells bad. If you've ever been in a public spa, it smells a lot like chlorine. A lot of that's not disinfecting. I like the idea of filtering it. I think it solves a lot of problems because it's really hard to regulate chlorine in a public pool and spa, and the pH and the chlorine, all that stuff. So I like this idea. I'd be for it. Sounds great.
Okay, thank you. Did you sign in, sir?
Pardon?
He's going to help you sign in the back. Oh. Would you hit your button there in the mic to shut that off? There you go. Thank you. You're good. Okay, any further proponent testimony? Seeing none, I'm going to go to opponent testimony. Any opponent testimony to House Bill 1299? No opponents online? Okay. Well, you really don't need a rebuttal. If you got something you want to say that you didn't say the first time, here's your chance. Okay, then I'm going to move into committee questions. Representative Whitman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a question for Mr. Robin online.
Say it again.
James Robin.
James
Yes.
Robin. Yeah, can you hear us? Would you answer
Sure.
a question for us, Mr. Robin?
I will attempt to.
Okay, go ahead and state your question, Representative.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can you just give me a brief overview if there are other states that have successfully been using biological filtration in commercial settings?
Can you reintroduce yourself and answer the question, please?
Yeah, James Robin, president of Bionova Natural Pools. No, I cannot. Minnesota is the only one that I'm aware of.
Are you good, Representative?
I am. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Further questions from the committee? Representative Schubeck.
I guess for anybody that can answer this, thanks, Mr. Chair. How do you test the water? Because normally in a normal swimming pool, you test pH. Do you have to test for biology in the water, or do you just test pH too?
Mr. Robin, do you want to try that one again, or you got someone else that would be better minded?
Yeah, I'd rather if Alan talked.
Alan Schnock, can you
Alan
give us
Schnock.
Schnock, can you give us that? Reintroduce yourself and answer that question, please.
Yes, sure. I'm Alan Schnock, Vice President at Bionova. The testing for a natural pool is still done, and in a public pool, there would be a scheduled pattern of testing on a biweekly basis that monitors pH, phosphates, hardness, nitrate levels, and there's also bacteriological testing that looks for the marker organisms, the E. coli, Enterococca, and Pseudomonas. Those are the three microbiological canaries in the coal mine, so to speak, that if their levels increase in the water to recommended World Health Organization, CDC levels, then it's assumed that other pathogenic organisms will also be in population. So there is testing. However, the testing in natural pool is done just to monitor its health, not in a chemical pool. It's to monitor the system. If pH is out of whack or if chlorine is too low, the chemistry comes unraveled. That's not the case in a natural pool. The water kind of reaches its own its own level based on its geological and climate area. But there is testing in order to monitor the water quality, and it's done so on a periodic level that's logged. In fact, James mentioned Weber Park. They have an interesting option on their website if you go to the Weber Park Natural Pool, where you can actually view and see the water quality reports for the pool as they're being done on a regular basis.
Are you good, Representative? Okay. Representative Peterson.
Yeah, one question. Thank you, Mr. Chair. For Mr. Schnock or anybody else, if you would rather not answer it. Just kind of a basic question about if the pool gets dirty, right? If a young kid forgets to go to the bathroom not in the pool or something like that, I mean, is it a quick process to make it better, or do you have to wait a little bit longer in these types of pools?
Would you like to answer that question?
Well, yeah, and stuff happens, whether it's in a chemical pool or a natural pool. In a chemical pool, the process is pool shut down, it's super chlorinated, they monitor levels for 24 to 48 hours until chlorine level comes back down and swimming can resume. In a natural pool, we just stop the contamination. So removal of the dirty diaper. If it's a brown cloud problem, then we just let that organic matter go through the circulation of the system. The biology, the organic matter, the waste that's in that as it circulates is going to be removed by the natural microbiome that's in the filter. And through monitoring, we can monitor the levels of E. coli in this particular example as it continues to come down below the 100 CFU per milliliter threshold. So, yeah, I mean, it's manageable. It's messy, and pool's going to get closed down, but nature will recover it.
Okay, you're good. Questions, Representative Rice.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't know who this question is for.
Well, just state your question. We'll figure it out.
Okay. On your filtration system, is it done in like a mechanical room, or is it have something in the pool? How's your filtration system work?
It's probably one for Mr. Robin, or Ms. Schnock, you got it, or what? If you have it, answer
Well, actually,
it.
any of us can answer that one.
Okay, well, go ahead. Reintroduce yourself and answer the question, please.
James Robin, president of BioNova Natural Pools. The filtration system is basically the same as what it is on as far as the mechanisms are concerned, are basically the same as they are on a chemical pool. We're going to have a filter on the pool in a separate room or outdoors. We're going to have a pump, just like we do on a chemical pool. We circulate the water in the same fashion.
Okay, you good, Representative? More questions from the committee? Okay, seeing no more questions, we are going to close public testimony, and we are going to move to committee discussion and/or action. Representative Whitman.
I move to pass.
It has been moved by Representative Whitman, seconded by Representative Rice, to do pass on House Bill 1299. Would you like comments on your motion?
Just very brief comments, Mr. Chair. I think this is a great bill, and it's in alignment with the Natural Resources Committee. It's thoughtful stewardship of resources in South Dakota. It's extremely narrow pathway for very small lodging establishments. I think it maintains strong public health standards, and I'm really excited to see solutions that balance safety with sustainability and small business opportunity. So it's a great bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments on the motion? Representative Schuback.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I was just going to throw out, you can use zebra mussels in this application.
There we
Sorry,
go.
I just had to.
Okay. Any further comment on the motion do pass? Okay, seeing none, we have a motion do pass on House Bill 1299. Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Representative Goodwin, excused. Hunt? Aye. Ismay, excused. Ladner?
Aye.
May? Aye. Knowles?
Aye.
Peterson?
Aye.
Rice?
Aye.
Schubeck?
Aye.
Van Dypen?
Aye.
Whitman?
Aye.
Gosh?
No.
Overwig?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, we have 10 yeas, 1 nay, and 2 excused.
Okay, receiving the amount of votes that needed, House Bill 1299 will go to the floor with the do pass. And I guess you're going to pitch it. Okay, with that, we're going to move on to our next, which is House Concurrent Resolution 6016, supporting reform of the beef checkoff program. Is a proponent testimony. Welcome, Representative.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and esteemed body of Ag and Natural Resources, Representative Julie Auk, District 18, and I have in front of you House Concurrent Resolution 6016, a concurrent resolution supporting reform of the beef checkoff program. And the reason that we are bringing this in front of you is basically to send a clear message to our congressional delegation in Washington to please be a part of the OFF Act. And so I'm just going to run through a few of the paragraphs of the resolution. The Beef Promotion and Research Act of 1985, commonly known as the Beef Checkoff, mandated a fee of $1 per head on cattle sales to fund research, promotion, and education, replacing a successful voluntary program. The beef checkoff has coincided with industrial challenges, including a decline in the number of United States beef cows from 335.4 million in 1985 to 27.9 million in 2025, the lowest numbers in multiple decades. The Beef Checkoff program has been criticized for conflicts of interest, lack of transparency, and providing monies to organizations such as the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, which promotes policies that many providers view as harmful, including free trade and opposition to mandatory country of origin labeling. The checkoff structure undermines independent decision-making, with meat packers influencing checkoff matters through the National Cattlemen's Beef Association and the Federation of State Beef Councils. The South Dakota Congressional Delegation is urged to support the bipartisan OFF Act, which is the Opportunities for Fairness in Farming Act of 2025. As a first step in reforming checkoff programs, including the Beef Checkoff program. We are asking for legislative support in the intent of the Opportunities of Fairness in Farming Act to ensure transparency and accountability by prohibiting contracts with entities that influence government policy, with the exception of higher education, preventing conflict of interest, anti-competitive practices, and deceptive activities reoccurring, transparent budgets, and detailed contract records, mandating periodic audits by the United States Department of Agriculture, Inspector General, and Comptroller General. Future amendments to the Opportunities or the OFF Act should prioritize promoting United States beef and cattle markets, ensuring that America First policies guide checkoff activities and ending generic promotion, that periodic votes by the producers who fund the beef checkoff should be required to ensure accountability and alignment of the program with interest of the American farmer, rancher, and producer. Mr. Chair, I would like to allow Brett Kenzie to.
I'm going to have some in-room first, just a couple, then we'll go right to your.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep. It's not that long a list.
So. In-room. Perfect.
Yes. So, okay, is there any further proponent testimony to HCR 60116 in the room? Okay, then we're going to go to Mr. Kinsey. Are you there, Mr. Kinsey?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Can you hear me?
We can, perfectly fine. Please introduce yourself and give us your testimony.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee, for allowing my testimony. I'm Brett Kinsey, Gregory, South Dakota, rancher, feedlot operator, past president of RCAF USA, current committee chair, testifying on behalf of myself. As we jump into this, and I think it's important to frame what the checkoff is a little bit. This issue, the beef checkoff, is one of the most controversial issues in the cattle and beef industry. And with Farm Bill looming, this is a great time to address this issue. I'm aware that a lot of volunteers working with the checkoff put in a lot of time and effort, and at the state level, much good work gets done. And the fear of throwing out the good with the bad is what creates the controversy when we speak about the checkoff. I think it's important to know that the reforms listed in this resolution and the bill it supports will only increase the effectiveness of volunteer efforts in South Dakota and across the country. And modernizing the checkoff will restore its original intent. We need to take a moment to actually know what the checkoff is. The Beef Promotion and Research Act of 1985 was established to collect $1 a head of cattle sold to enable, and this is a quote from the Beef Act, to enable cattle producers to establish, finance, and carry out a coordinated program of research, producer and consumer information, and promotion to improve, maintain, and develop markets for cattle, beef, and beef products. Note that cattle were mentioned first, and rightfully so, as it is funded by cattlemen. Today, the beef checkoff collects about 80 million with an M dollars annually, half retained by the state beef industry councils and half sent to the CBB, or the National Checkoff. The concept in its inception was to have two groups in charge of spending the national half of the producer dollars. The first half was independent producers approved by the Secretary of Ag from across the country that can make up the Cattlemen's Beef Board, the CBB. The second half was a federation of cattle producers already serving on state beef councils that would be called the Federation. Those two would work together to represent the cattlemen that paid for the checkoff. And so in my estimation, there are two primary problems, and this is precise because there's a lot of he said, she said when discussing the checkoff. But the precise problems, the first of which is found in the 1985 Act that directed the CBB to, and again quoting, use to the extent possible the resources, staffs, and facilities of existing organizations. The order went, end quote, the order went on to, and again quoting, prohibit any funds collected by the board under the order from being used in any manner for the purpose of influencing governmental action or policy, which is called lobbying. So to summarize, Congress directed the money to lobbying organizations and then prohibited them from using it to lobby. And my analogy to that is it's like giving a fat kid a candy bar and telling him to hold on to it. Being a fat kid myself, I can promise you, you're only going to come back to wrappers. It's just too much temptation that was put right into the bill from the very beginning, okay? So the national portion now provides about 70% of NCBA's annual operating revenue. The Beef Industry Organization, NCBA, effectively controls the awarding of AR funds to other lobbying organizations such as Farm Bureau, the Meat Institute, USMEF, and others. It's interesting that the majority of these contractor organizations lobby heavily against reforms popular with many of the cattlemen who pay the checkoff, such as MCOOL, increased market competition and transparency, packers and stockyards enforcement, and so on. So that leads us to the second fatal flaw of today's checkoff structure. In the late 90s, then the National Cattlemen's Association merged with the Beef Industry Council of the National Livestock and Meat Board, which brought the packers on that board into the fold of that cattle organization, creating NCBA, National Cattlemen's Beef Association. And NCBA's federation holds half of the seats on the Beef Promotion Operating Committee, which has final authority over awarding checkoff funds. This was approved by the USDA of that time. We have a very different USDA today than then, and effectively legalized NCBA's undue power over the checkoff. So those are the two fatal flaws: putting lobbying organizations in charge of funds, prohibiting lobbying, and then that merger that happened in the late 90s that brought the packers and the cattlemen together, which is really hard because there's an inherent conflict. Cattlemen want to sell cattle high, packers want to buy cattle cheap. So there's a conflict there trying to represent both. So that's the end of today's complicated explanation of how we got to where we are today and why we need to modernize the checkoff if we want to return the guidance to the cattlemen who pay for it. If I were to get on to some specific problems, if I were to summarize the majority of complaints that come to me about the checkoff, the first would be generic promotion. We all know American beef is the highest quality in the world, and the American consumer is the best consumer in the world. And the CBB website, Cattlemen's Beef Board website, is full of pro-American rhetoric. Perhaps it's time to promote American beef in America. The checkoff does promote American beef overseas currently. We're told that checkoff meetings are open to the public, then learn that it costs $500 to $1,500 to attend the NCBA convention where the annual meetings are held. Some further contend that holding the meetings there forces the checkoff itself to subsidize NCBA by forcing the checkoff to pay the admission of checkoff members. Another issue, partnering with World Wildlife Fund for sustainability studies. And that leads into the methane classroom studies that I think other proponents of this resolution will address. Sponsoring multiple full-page ads in cattle magazines to subsidize Drover's Journal, Beef Magazine, and others. Sponsoring the midday markets on radio stations, etc. They call it producer information, which is awfully close to endearing yourself to the media with checkoff dollars. And so now we get to my personal objection to the current checkoff activities, which lobby with checkoff funds. Today, I want to show you the beef industry long-range plan. I believe that Representative Auck handed that out. It's a 2-pager, the beef industry long-range plan. And I would like to direct your attention to the second page. At the top, it says 6 beef industry goals. So what is this? This is a sheet that's handed out by NCBA when it lobbies the Hill. The beef industry long-range plan. The long-range plan is put together by the long-range plan task force consisting of current and former checkoff personnel and beef industry and cattle industry participants. The beef industry long-range plan is linked to on the CBB website, the Cattlemen's Beef Board checkoff website. So as we look this over, I want you to ask yourself if it looks like beef promotion, education, and research, or if it's a lobbyist roadmap on how to vertically integrate our industry. So as we start at the top of this, and I hope you're all looking at that second page that says 6 beef industry goals, right underneath that, it says, and I have things underlined, strong policy advocacy is one of the goals. I don't know what you would call strong policy advocacy, but that's what I feel that I'm doing right now. I'm lobbying. You go down to policy and supply chain, and we're not going to go through this line by line, just a few high points to see what is in this beef industry long-range plan. Policy and supply chain viability, the kind of golden top left corner box. It talks about reducing unnecessary regulations and enabling a supportive policy environment, targeting the behaviors of regulators and stakeholders, and then educating policymakers. Again, I would contend that that is lobbying. As you go to the right, one of the 6 beef industry goals, sustainability industry outcomes. I think we should all challenge ourselves to define what sustainability is. How would you define sustainability? I think everybody has their own definition. My definition of sustainability under the government that we saw weaponized was production and consumption control. Sustainability is telling consumers what they should buy and producers what they should produce and how they should produce it. So that bothers me. One of the tactics under that heading would be engaging sustainability influencer with ranchers, which again is lobbying. Public engagement and building confidence to the right. It talks about building consumer confidence in high quality U.S. beef. That speaks again to my need to modernize the checkoff to promote U.S. beef. As we go down to the bottom, we talk about coordinating. We talk about continuous improvement, which is the language of the Sustainable Development Goals of the UN. Alignment moving to the right, alignment between consumers, increasing trust, animal health and food safety. Bottom right, it talks about partnerships. And at the very bottom, it talks about how a tactic should promote traceability, which is a pretty contentious issue in this industry. So to close, I hope you can see that the intent of the original checkoff has strayed significantly. Supporting this resolution would not end the checkoff. To the contrary, it would instruct our senators and representatives to support the OFF Act, amend it to promote American beef, and provide a periodic vote for accountability. This action would fix technical flaws within the Act itself and refocus the program on its original intent to research, educate, and promote American beef, to improve, maintain, and develop markets for cattle and beef products. Last word. This is a contentious issue. Don't hate the player, hate the game. I love that saying because so often we begin to squabble amongst ourselves and no productive discussion ever occurs, and we've got to get past that. We have to look at the game, what it's evolved into, not be afraid to change the game and to modernize these programs. So support this resolution, send the message to Washington that it's time for checkoff, accountability, and effectiveness. I'll stand by for questions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Kinsey. Now I think we have a Doris Lowing on. Ms. Lowing, are you on there? Is she on, Tristan? Okay, you're muted there, I think. There you go. Now can you hear me?
I can.
There you go. Hey, can you introduce yourself and give us your testimony, please?
I can. I apologize. My camera must not be working. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning, committee. In South Dakota,
Ms.
cattle
Lane, can
are
you
the leading...
introduce yourself first and then give us your testimony?
Oh.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Doris Lowing, Executive Director of the South Dakota Stock Growers Association. In South Dakota, cattle is our leading sector of our agricultural economy. Agriculture itself is South Dakota's #1 industry, contributing more than $33 billion annually to our state economy. Family ranchers and independent feeders are disappearing. The big four national packers' profits are soaring. Consumer beef prices are at record highs. Yet, cow-calf producers still struggle to make a living, and we are still required to pay $1 a head into a mandatory checkoff, even as imported beef floods the markets. The checkoff was originally designed to promote American beef producers, to help build demand for U.S.-raised beef. Today, the checkoff funds are used to promote generic beef, whether it is born, raised, finished in the U.S., or imported from Brazil, Argentina, or elsewhere. In fact, imported beef can be labeled as product of the U.S. after minimal processing, while U.S. ranchers pay to promote this entire category. This is not what the checkoff was intended to do. We want to simply be assured that no lobbying uses checkoff funds. We are provided with public audits of how these funds are spent. We give producers a choice to opt out if they do not agree with supporting this program. Beef checkoff hasn't saved American independent cattle industry. It has coincided with the collapse while global packers grow bigger and richer. I ask one simple question. If this program is working so well, why have we lost nearly half of our American cattle ranchers since it began? There is one question policymakers need to ask. This problem is bigger than South Dakota. It is all across America. We're allowed ourselves to become a consumer nation, letting the production side of our economy, especially in agriculture, fail. We import more and more of what we use to produce ourselves, from beef to manufactured goods, all while losing our family farms, ranches, and small businesses that support them. If we lose more family ranchers, more cattle feeders, and more control of our food system to the global corporations, the ripple effects will hit every South Dakota community, from local schools to county budgets to Main Street businesses that depend on a healthy ranch economy. How will South Dakota's economy remain strong if we allow our #1 industry to continue to shrink? The South Dakota Stock Growers Association states, we support long overdue transparency and accountability to a broken system that is helping our national packers, not our independent ranchers. It is our desire to send this clear message to Washington, D.C., that our state, along with many other states, are asking for this transparency of our beef checkoff dollars to the research and how these dollars are spent. This resolution will do that. We encourage a yes vote for all livestock producers in South Dakota. Thank you for allowing this time for me to speak. I stand by for questions.
Okay, thank you. Further proponent testimony for HCR 6016. That's all the remote testimony and none in the room. Okay, then we are going to switch to opponent testimony. Opponent testimony for HCR 6016. Welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Taya Runyon, registered lobbyist for the South Dakota Cattlemen's Association, and I'm here to encourage you not to support HCR 6016. This resolution calls for a reform in the beef checkoff, specifically by supporting Senator Booker's Opportunities for Fairness in Farming Act. Our members, our producer members, have policy that supports the beef checkoff, and over the years, we have opposed the OFF Act as both a standalone act and as attempts to make it part of Farm Bill language. I want to be really clear about this on the record. Neither NCBA or SDCA are using checkoff dollars to lobby or influence lawmakers, ever. It's not permitted by federal law. I'm not here on behalf of the checkoff. My support of the checkoff is because of our producer members who have found value in the program, want the program to continue to do the work they do, and have asked us to support the checkoff. All of the checkoff expenditures are available online at thebeefboard.org, and the Cattlemen's Beef Board and all their contractors must also go through an annual audit that's conducted by individual auditing firms. I myself have gone to Denver and met with the staff in their office and walked through what those robust firewalls look like to make sure that the funds that are obtained by the checkoff in order to do administrative things that assist the checkoff are not used for lobbying and influencing. And I would wager that they would be open to having that conversation with anybody who wants to learn more about that. Going back to the OFF Act itself, it would require some redundant auditing practices that would essentially drain checkoff dollars, producers' checkoff dollars, away from research, education, promotion work that they're doing, in order to return that investment. Right now, the ROI is about $13 for every dollar invested. That's real money back into the pockets of producers that would now be spent on redundant auditing functions. The checkoff has had overwhelming support from cattle producers over the years. In 1988, the $1 assessment was approved by over 79% of producers in a national referendum vote. In 2021, a petition to end the still just $1 checkoff fell far short of even gathering enough petition signatures, which would be 10% of the U.S. producers, to hold another referendum vote, even after they were granted a 3-month extension. We agree with the proponents here who say that farmers and ranchers should have a say in where their hard-earned money goes. Of the 99 representatives that make up the Cattlemen's Beef Board, South Dakota has 4, and these individuals are nominated by qualifying organizations here in South Dakota, and that includes, it's a very long list, I think it's over 2 pages, but Farm Bureau, Farmers Union, South Dakota Stock Growers, Cattlemen's Association, Cattle Women, Beef Breeds. There's a whole list of qualifying nominating organizations that can put forth names for representatives of CBB. Our current representatives in South Dakota, V.B. Thomas, Orrin Lesmeister, David Urig, and Larry Stomprud, they're all accessible to talk to any producers about the way that they spend these checkoff dollars. Finally, the OFF Act would impact more than just the beef checkoff. It would have implications for all USDA checkoff programs. There's clearly not consensus that the checkoff should be reformed in the ways set forth by this resolution. And for all these reasons, we ask that the legislature not pass concurrent resolution 6016. Thank you.
Thank you. Further opponent testimony to HCR 6016. Further opponent testimony. Okay, seeing none and none online. Oh, hang on a minute. Okay, Representative, would you like a rebuttal? Thank you. Reintroduce yourself and give us your rebuttal, please.
Thank you, Chair. Representative Julie Auk, District 18. Today is the time to return the beef checkoff to the American beef producer and refocus it on what matters most, making real American beef the #1 emphasis in our research and promotion efforts. We should not dilute our message by blending foreign, lower quality beef into a marketplace and narrative while our own producers compete in an increasingly challenging global market. Every dollar collected from American producers should work directly to strengthen markets for American-raised beef. With the support of the passage of MCOOL and the OFF Act, it was never intended to fund studies that portray our producers as a problem, nor to teach our children that cattle production is inherently harmful to the environment, all paid for with beef checkoff dollars. The mission was clear: to promote American beef, build American products, and enhance American producer productive profitability. It is also time to modernize the checkoff with a vote of the producer. You heard that every dollar of the checkoff is only represented by 4 of cattlemen who are members of the Cattlemen Association or handpicked by Farm Bureau. We need more representation. In 40 years, the producer has not had a true voice in the direction of this program. Everyone sitting on this committee understands the difference between an appointment and an election. If this program is truly producer-funded, then it must be producer-driven. Transparency, accountability, and direct representation are not radical ideas. They are fundamental principles of good governance. The goal of this resolution is to send a message to our Washington, D.C. delegation to please support the desire of the South Dakota livestock producer and encourage the Senate and the congressional delegation to include MCOOL and the OFF Act in the Farm Bill. Recommit to the original mission, allow the producer to have a voice, expand true market opportunities, and ensure the beef checkoff once again serves the American cattle producer first and foremost. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we'll move into committee questions. Any committee questions? Representative Van Dypen.
For the prime sponsor.
State your question.
Well, thank you for being here. I don't know if you have the OFF Act in front of you, but I found some things that appear concerning in there, and I want to know if this is how you read it. Under Section 4, subsection 3, it says a board shall not engage in and shall prohibit the employees and agents of the board acting in the official capacity from engaging in any anti-competitive activity, which would be prohibiting beef from coming in from another country, as I read it. And then also it says any act that may be disparaging to or in any way negatively portray another agricultural commodity or product, which is, if it's foreign beef, isn't that saying that you can't talk poorly of them?
Reintroduce yourself and answer the question, if you will, please.
May I ask Brett Kinsey to answer that question?
Sure. Mr. Kinsey, are you still on there? Did you hear that question? And would you like to?
I am, and I did.
Would you like to answer it, please? Please reintroduce yourself and answer it if you can.
Yes, sir. Brett Kinsey, Gregory, South Dakota rancher. That language is simply a reflash from the original Beef Act passed in 1985. So that really is not new. A lot of what the OFF Act does is merely restate and codify the original intent of the 1985 Act, and I would consider that to be a part of that.
Okay,
does that answer your question?
You good, Representative? You want to follow up?
Yes, please.
Okay, follow up. State your question.
So the question was, though, by reading this, does it make it against this policy as it's written for any checkoff to go against or to say they can't talk poorly of any other beef, be it U.S. beef, Argentina beef, anywhere else? By reading that, it tells me that the checkoff cannot talk poorly of anyone. Is that correct?
Can you answer that question, Mr. Kinsey?
Yes, sir. I believe that to be absolutely correct, and I believe that that is why we have not seen the checkoff disparage the cell cultured protein that that we've had so much controversy about in this session. And so I will actually stick up for the checkoff in that regard. That is not in the checkoffs in their game, so to speak, to go out and attack other products. Rather, it is to promote the great product that is American beef.
You good there, Representative? Okay. Any questions from the committee? Representative Gosh?
Thank you, Mr.
State
Chair.
your question.
This would be for the cattlemen's.
Ms. Runyon, if you could come up.
Well, Mr. Chair, if I may, while you're on your way, I'll just go ahead and ask the question.
Yeah, state your question.
What matrix did you use to find out a 13-to-1 ROI?
Can you reintroduce yourself and answer that question?
Taya Runyon, South Dakota Cattlemen's Association. I personally didn't use any matrix to figure that out. There was an ROI study done by an independent firm. They came up with that number. I don't have the name off the top of my head. I'm happy to provide you that information. It's available readily online.
Follow up?
Yeah, where can I find it online?
You can answer the question.
Yeah, it's a great question. I believe it's on the Checkoff website, but I can certainly go back and get it for you.
You good? Okay. Other questions from the committee? Okay, seeing none, we are going to close public testimony. When we're going to move into discussion or action, and I just want to tell the committee we have a choice here. Your choice is a motion today on in this HCR will be to adopt, do not adopt, or 41st day. So comments and or actions.
Mr. Chair,
Representative Hunt.
I move to adopt.
It is moved by Representative Hunt, seconded by Representative May to adopt HCR 6016. Comments on your motion?
Well, I first want to thank the prime sponsor for bringing this. This issue is a burr underneath almost every Western South Dakotan's saddle blanket. I just want to note in the 2025 that 50% of our beef checkoff dollars from South Dakota went to NCBA, $22.9 million in 2025. As a commercial cattle operator, that means I don't raise primarily Black Angus. And it's always been frustrating to me that the beef checkoff primarily promotes Black Angus. But I am giving them money to promote beef in general, but they're not doing, I believe, due diligence to promote all beef when they're promoting primarily Black Angus. So that's just one of my complaints, and I would like to see that changed with the OFF Act, with more accountability in the system, more producers coming in to have a say at the table, I guess. I also question the justification of still having the beef checkoff in general. Since 1995, when it was inducted, we've lost 43% of our producers. We have gone from a 35.4 million cattle herd to a 27.9 million cattle herd in the country. I just don't know how beneficial it actually is to our small independent ranchers.
Okay, thank you. Further comments on the motion to adopt? Representative Peterson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to resist the motion. You know, it's always good to have these conversations, and one of our colleagues in the Senate put it really well on the other issue a few weeks ago. If you ask two ranchers what they think about an issue, that you're going to get 4 opinions, right? And so this is another classic case of that, that we all are, many of us in this room are in this industry, and we're going to disagree on this. We also say, be careful who you're working with. And I'm going to say that on this issue. I mean, we're going, this would basically endorse an OFF Act that is being ran by a Democrat senator from a East Coast state that's got the PETA Leadership Award last year. So, I mean, again, we got to be careful what we're doing. He also, to my knowledge, has been running bills that would restrict or limit cattle feeding, which is what I do. I live in a CAFO. Our family farm, our house is within the footprint of our CAFO. We have an 800 cow herd that is the primary source of my income right now. And the people that we're endorsing and giving a lot of power to with this resolution, it seems to me, have some interests that aren't aligned with my own. So again, I think it's a good conversation to be had, and this conversation appears to it will never end between the different cattle producers from across the state. But I mean, I'm hearing the same concerns shared from our side that we're concerned by the other side on some other issues. It's kind of like we're walking in a circle on some of these things. So with all respect to all the concerns, I just think I don't think this is the right direction to go. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Gosh.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I guess I would urge you guys to support the Do Adopt motion. We've got some serious issues with our checkoffs. Only in the agricultural industry do we have an entity, our government, saying they're going to take your money and give it to an entity and then provide little oversight and basically run roughshod. I've had some issues with all checkoffs, but we are talking about beef today, so I'll try to keep it to that. As for the senator that's promoting this, it isn't just one. Mike Lee is a Republican senator from Utah. He is one of the most conservative senators in the Senate and is fully behind this, so it is not just a liberal senator. While I agree that senator has brought some pretty rough stuff that I do not like either, this is kind of a bipartisan issue here. I do want to get back to what we're trying to encourage them, and what the OFAC is we're trying to make the beef checkoff program what it was. I personally would support the bill if it said we did away with the beef checkoff program, but we're not doing that. So I would urge you guys, let's bring this back to what it is: promotional, not confrontational, educational. That's what this money was supposed to be spent for, and transparent. It's not supposed to be spent for anything outside of that. So let's bring it back. Let's support this legislation, and let's move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion on the adopt motion. Okay, well, then the chair's going to kick in a couple words because I just have to, right? I'm going to support this wholeheartedly. And you all know what I think of resolutions, but this is important. And, I know once in a while it seems like there's disagreements in our little community here, of a cattle. But I also believe that when you're taking citizens' money, you have to answer hard questions. Government has to be asked the hard questions, and so do these organizations that are forcing these dues to be paid, these checkoff dollars to be paid. So I think it's good government when they are asked hard questions and when we relook at what we've done in the past. So I will be supporting this. So, okay, with that.
Mr. Chair.
Whoa.
It's not a rebuttal or anything.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Representative Peterson. But just want to mention, I mean, we're at record high beef prices right now, ever. So, I mean, it's good to have concerns, but we are at record high beef prices. And the one other thing that I would say is, yeah, I think we've had a declining herd from drought and many other things, but just like corn, if everybody yields 250 bushels, the supply out produces the demand and prices go lower. So I think we got to be a little careful. I don't think we want a 40 million cow herd tomorrow because our beef price would probably be $1 instead of 250. So with that, go ahead. I'm sure this will pass.
Not unless I own half them 40 million. Right? No. Okay, we have. Representative May.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, I just have to comment on that. We've got record beef prices now, but we haven't for 40 years. So that's not an argument. I just don't understand why this is so controversial for some people. And I don't understand. The numbers are there. What runs this state? Cattle. We have lost so many ranches in the last 40 years. It's just unbelievable. And for us to not want to do something different, if we continue down this path, I don't know, maybe the I-29 corridor can take care of all of South Dakota. I don't know. But I'm betting they can't. We can't bring enough businesses in to support this industry. This is a good way to get this opened up, revisit it. The arguments just, to me, are just nonsense. We have to look out for this industry, and this industry is in trouble. I don't care how high the cattle prices are right now. They haven't been. And if I tacked in what it costs for a brand new pickup now, and what we're getting for a calf, still doesn't match. We're still underwater. So I'm going to support this resolution, and I hope everybody else on this committee does too. Whether you agree with one group or the other group, forget about the groups. This is about people, and it's about an industry, and it's about policies that we decide here, period. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Now, we have a motion to adopt on HCR 6016. You got the legislators that did it? You're good? So, Madam Secretary, you call the roll.
Representative Goodwin.
Yay.
Hunt.
A. Yay? What?
Ismay.
Aye.
Aye.
Ladner.
Aye.
May. Aye. Knowles.
Aye.
Peterson.
No.
Rice.
Aye.
Schreck.
Aye.
Van Dypen.
No.
Whitman.
No.
Gosh.
Aye.
Overwig.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, we have 10 yeas and 3 nays.
Okay, receiving the amount of votes that needed, HCR 6016 will go to the floor with a to adopt motion. Okay, so committee, good job. We have completed our bills and everything out of the House as of now. Before crossover day, yes, Representative Gosh?
I move we adjourn.
Now hold on, I'm not done yet.
Hey, the motion's always in order.
We're gonna start right in on Tuesday with our Senate bills, and we're gonna keep working hard so we stay ahead of this. So good job. Thank you all for working hard. Now I will have an motion from Representative Gosh, and it's seconded by.
Nope. I withdraw
Okay,
the motion.
all right. Who would like to make a motion? Representative Hunt and seconded by Representative Ladner to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.
SDPB is your home for fact-based journalism, connecting South Dakotans with news they can trust and stories that matter. Good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB. From children's programs to in-depth documentaries, SDPB sparks curiosity and lifelong learning in every South Dakotan. SDPB, good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB brings South Dakotans together, telling the stories that unite small towns, big ideas, and the people who make our state shine. Good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB. SDPB shares the voices and experiences of South Dakotans, preserving our stories, our culture, and our sense of place. SDPB, good, useful, and full of wonder. As South Dakota's public media network, SDPB serves everyone with transparency, integrity, and commitment to open access. Good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB. SDPB helps shape South Dakota's future by educating, informing, and inspiring the next generation of thinkers, leaders, and creators. SDPB. Good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB serves South Dakota through an interconnected communication system that is on 24/7, 365. The first place for Amber Alerts, public safety announcements, and EAS messages. SDPB keeps public servants and citizens informed. Good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB. SDPB brings you closer to your government. With gavel-to-gavel coverage of the South Dakota legislature and in-depth reporting from peer. Good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB. From early learners to lifelong students, SDPB inspires curiosity through trusted educational programs and resources for every stage of life. Good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB. When South Dakotans need reliable information, SDPB is there providing updates and coverage that keep our communities safe and connected. Good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB. SDPB celebrates South Dakota's student athletes with live coverage of SDHSAA state championships, sharing the excitement of hometown heroes. SDPB. Good, useful, and full of wonder. From choir to debate to theater, SDPB shines a spotlight on South Dakota's talented students through SDHSAA All-State Fine Arts programming. Good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB. Every day, SDPB connects South Dakotans with stories that inform, inspire, and bring us together. SDPB, good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB is your home for fact-based journalism, connecting South Dakotans with news they can trust and stories that matter. Good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB. From children's programs to in-depth documentaries, SDPB sparks curiosity and lifelong learning in every South Dakotan. SDPB. Good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB brings South Dakotans together, telling the stories that unite small towns, big ideas, and the people who make our state shine. Good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB. SDPB shares the voices and experiences of South Dakotans, preserving our stories, our culture, and our sense of place. SDPB, good, useful, and full of wonder. As South Dakota's public media network, SDPB serves everyone with transparency, integrity, and commitment to open access. Good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB. SDPB helps shape South Dakota's future by educating, informing, and inspiring the next generation of thinkers, leaders, and creators. SDPB. Good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB serves South Dakota through an interconnected communication system that is on 24/7, 365. The first place for Amber Alerts, public safety announcements, and EAS messages. SDPB keeps public servants and citizens informed. Good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB. SDPB brings you closer to your government. With gavel-to-gavel coverage of the South Dakota legislature and in-depth reporting from peer. Good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB. From early learners to lifelong students, SDPB inspires curiosity through trusted educational programs and resources for every stage of life. Good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB. When South Dakotans need reliable information, SDPB is there providing updates and coverage that keep our communities safe and connected. Good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB. SDPB celebrates South Dakota's student athletes with live coverage of SDHSAA state championships, sharing the excitement of hometown heroes. SDPB, good, useful, and full of wonder.
Good morning and welcome to House Local Government. We'll call the meeting to order. First off, we'd like to have a roll call. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Representative Andera.
Here.
Bathke excused. DeGroot.
Here.
Fitzgerald.
Here.
Heerman.
Here.
Jensen. Cull.
Here.
Mullally.
Present.
Roby. Van Diepen.
Here.
Weisgram. Here. Ladner.
Here.
Jameson.
Here.
Mr. Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Next, I would like to have a motion to approve our minutes from our last meeting. Motion by Representative Jensen, second by Representative Andera to approve our minutes. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, our minutes are approved. Next, I'd like to ask the pages to come forward, introduce themselves to us, tell us a little bit about yourself. Welcome.
So my name is Grant Cutler. I'm live in Claremont, and I'm a senior in high school, and I will be joining the Air Force in July.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm CJ Moses. I'm from Pierre. I go to TF Riggs High School, and I'm going to major in engineering in South Dakota School of Mines and Technology.
Okay, thank you. Thank you guys for being here.
What engineering?
We have a new member to the committee, Representative Weisgram, who has replaced Representative Whitman. Would he like to come forward and tell us? No. We're looking forward to having his presence here. It's a pretty simple day today, guys, but really one bill to take care of. Senate Bill 165, revise certain provisions pertaining to municipal government. If the proponents could come forward. Good morning.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Bring you today Senate Bill 165. This is what I like to call the Yvonne Taylor Semi-Retirement Project. This is the third year of what's been kind of an ongoing process to review and clean up Title IX of our code, which refers to how municipal governments are governed. Almost all of these changes are non-substantive. There are a couple sections that perhaps could be considered substantive, and Yvonne will talk about that. And so I'd ask for your green vote on this bill, and Yvonne will have a handout in here and go through these sections. Thank you.
Thank you. You need some help with handouts?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, if I may. I'll give it a second to let you all get that around. I'll kind of give the brief overview. Oh, I'm sorry, Yvonne Taylor with the South Dakota Municipal League. This is my first time up here, Mr. Chairman. You gotta forgive me. In general, what we've done, you've seen this before in this committee, the last 3 years is we are going through chapter by chapter of Title IX, which is governing municipalities. There are 50-some chapters involved, and so I hope to finish this before I die. But we have in the past, and first of all, I wanted to start out by thanking Rachel Hale with your LRC staff. I mean, she just did a fantastic job on drafting. We try to get them to her in pretty good shape, but it can get pretty complex, and she spotted stuff we had missed, and just really appreciate her work on this. But generally, these are just cleanup bills, but this year we do have what are 2 substantive changes, and I will point those out to you, and with every other section in this bill, you can take it or leave it. It'll be up to you, but you'll have that option, and I'll show you where those are. Also, you're going to see a lot of language cleanup, especially as we go through 914, chapter 914. Part of what we were trying to do is get consistent language, so we went with elected and appointed official when it is dealing with the individual, and we went with elective and appointive when we're talking about the office, and so you'll see quite a bit of that kind of a thing. So I will take you through just the highlights of this. I won't go through every section if that's okay. We'll just take you through the highlights and thank you. And on the handout also, I want to point out that it is the section of the bill, and then it's the codified law that it's referring to. It's when the bill was, when that language was first added to statute, and then the time it was last amended. And you'll see that a lot of this is just very old language. The first one that kind of to highlight is section 10 of the bill, and that starts on page 4. And we've done this over the last few years and throughout this bill, but we're clarifying voting requirements as being the majority of those qualified to serve, not just the majority of those who are present at the meeting. You have to have the majority of the whole bunch that could possibly vote. And section 11 is the next one. In the aldermanic form, which is the mayor and a council, in that form of government, the way to remove an official, an appointed official, an employee appointed official, is for the mayor removes them and then has to report the reasons for the removal to the council. And we are kind of spiffing that up. At the end, that can be done in executive session because it's a personnel matter. But we say that the fact of the presentation of the report must be placed in the minutes. And so even though it happened in executive session, you have to put the fact that it occurred in the minutes. Section 15, this is the first substantive change, and this is a real one. It's without a doubt substantive.
municipal officials are forbidden from holding any other job under the municipality that they are elected for. So you cannot be on the city council and be the janitor for City Hall, or the HR director. Nothing like that. If you're the elected person, you can't do anything else. The exceptions to that are if you're a volunteer and receive some pay. I always use the small town example that you might have a mayor in a little town and he's got a nice tractor with a plow on it, and you get a big blizzard and he can kind of come help, but you get to pay him to, cover his cost of gas and whatever, fuel, I guess. But anyway, this section deals with that, and we have, we're asking to increase the amount that they can receive in a year for those volunteer type efforts from $5,000 to $10,000. And then there is an existing exemption for smaller towns, those under 5,000 in population. If you are the kind of saint that will both be on a city council and serve on your volunteer ambulance, we let you exceed those pay limits so that you can get paid for volunteer ambulance service. And so that one also, we are increasing from $5,000 to $10,000, or in excess of $10,000 for that particular case. So that is the substantive change that you'll need to decide if you want to let us do that in this form or not. And then if you go to section 28, and Representative Roby pointed out that this may be considered substantive. There's a different, there's language that was removed in section 3, and it referred to being a defaulter to the municipality. And we constantly got questions on that. Well, what if the council member is delinquent on their utility bill? That's not what a defaulter means. Defaulter means you left office and didn't give all your stuff back. And so what we've done is just say that if they have to give all the stuff back, and if they are in violation, they are liable for any damages caused by that violation and penalties as prescribed by an ordinance that's current, and then associated reasonable attorney fees and costs related to the violation, because we have to go get the stuff back. I have never seen this happen. So I've heard of a lot of them delinquent on their water bill, but I've never heard the not giving their stuff back. So, and then section 20, was that it? Oh yeah, section 29. This was regarding our ability to do background checks on employees, and we're removing the 18-year-old restriction. The HR attorney that we ran this by said you can do them on people under 18, but chances are you're not going to find anything because it'd be a juvenile record. But we have a lot of kids working at the swimming pool and summer rec programs that are around children. And so to the best of our ability, we'd like to make sure that they should be working around children. Section 35, and you'll see this in a couple places. There was kind of a special procedure set up in court for municipal actions. And we just took that out and said everything goes under UJS. They've got their system, and our system should be their system. So we're just making sure that everything is in the UJS for court procedures. Section 37, you will mostly see that we removed a lot of language in there. That's because it is moved to a separate section, and so you'll find that in section 50. Section 40 sets the parameters on a mayor's veto power in an emergency, and similarly we do the same thing for if he fails to sign a measure, it becomes law without his signature, becomes effective without his signature. In the case of an emergency, it doesn't make sense to wait the time required to deal with a veto, and so we're just saying that if it passed by a 2/3 vote of the council as an emergency, then they don't have to wait. It would be the amount required to override that veto anyway that it passed by. And so an emergency thing this is another thing I've never seen happen. You see very few vetoes even in municipal government, and the veto is only allowed in the aldermanic form. Section 43. This is the one that I say is maybe substantive in law, but it's not substantive in reality. We added part 2, and we added part 2, And then it said is not subject to referendum pursuant to 9/2019, which is administrative acts. And so statute clarifies what is a legislative act and what is a administrative act for a city. I use the example that we're going to put in a water system. That's a legislative act and can be referred to a vote. The size of pipe we use for the water, that's an administrative act and it can't be referred to a vote. And so Section 2 just says you don't have to let that 20 days click on something that you can't refer anyway. Let's see, what's next? 46. We updated this language to include online codification, which is much handier for citizens and everyone else because you can search, for one thing, when you're looking at a city's ordinances. And then we moved some of the stuff to Section 51. We are required to furnish a free copy of the book of ordinances to the clerk of court and the county law library. We don't even know if those folks really want these, but you'll see in Section 51 what we've done is allows us to provide a free link or a free version of the online, which is, again, more handy anyway. And those changes you'll see in 51, which is a new section. And then 57, again, we're clarifying that UJS procedures govern municipal actions. And finally, 66. Okay, this is just a pet peeve of my own, but they said I could try it, so here it is. A couple of years ago, there was a bill passed that said we may not do these ordinances or whatever for making payments to an individual under a guaranteed income program. Well, there's lots of reasons we can't do that anyway. It's not allowed. And so it clutters up the code to say you can't. That's 66. There's lots of stuff that we can't do because we're not allowed to do it. We are creatures of the state. We can only do what you authorize us to do. We're not authorized to do that. And so you don't need to pass a statute and clutter up the code with stuff saying we can't do what we can't do. So that's why I'm asking, because we're cleaning up Title IX, and so that was a little pet peeve of mine. So for what it's worth, that is the summary of the bill, and I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Any further proponents to Senate Bill 165? Seeing none, any opponents to Senate Bill 165? Okay, seeing none, just waive any rebuttal of sorts, and then as well, open it up to the committee for questions. Anybody have any questions? This bill struggled through the Senate, barely made it out of there. Representative Jensen.
Question for Yvonne. Regarding Section 18, could you explain why you would need to try and remove this important transparency issue in hiring outside attorneys?
Mr. Chairman, Yvonne Taylor with the Municipal League, if I may. I believe that any contract Sorry, I believe Yvonne Taylor with the Municipal League, Mr. Chairman. I believe any contract for legal services would be a matter of public record regardless.
So, Mr. Chair, follow up. Why would you need to change this then, if that's the case?
I don't know that we've made a big change, I guess. I would consider that to be just kind of cleaning up the language.
Follow up?
Yes.
Okay, then explain why there's less accountability and less transparency with the new verbiage.
Mr. Chairman, Yvonne Taylor with the Municipal League. I guess I guess I don't see it that way. I don't see that it is less transparent because the contract would be a matter of public record. It would be done in an open meeting, acted on in an open meeting. And I think that the language that was there does not take into account that there aren't a whole lot of cities that have a full-time city attorney. Most of our cities are contracting with attorneys who do a bunch of other stuff and represent the city as just part of their practice.
One last follow-up. Okay, then as far as hiring an attorney, which is the main issue here in this section, it doesn't really clarify hiring an attorney for how much, for how long, and for what purpose. So I
Mr.
got a real
Chairman?
problem with that.
Mr. Chairman, it doesn't, and it never has. And in the case of an employee, you would, if you wanted to appoint them and do it every year, you could. But most places would just appoint your city attorney until such time as that person leaves or you want them to leave. It's never spelled out the legal fees or any of that. The contract would. So it may be more transparent.
Any further questions? Representative Fitzgerald.
May I comment?
Yes, you bet.
Okay. This area of law really needs a lot of cleanup. And so I just want to say I appreciate you bringing this forward because there's still some things that need to be done, but this is a huge step. So I would just encourage everyone to vote green on it. Thank you for bringing it today.
Any further questions, comments, discussion, action?
Do pass.
I have a motion by Representative Fitzgerald, seconded by Representative Cole. A do pass motion. Any comments about, you've made some comments, I think we're good. Any other comments? Okay, then we have a motion. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Representative Andera.
Aye.
Bathke, excused. DeGroot.
Aye.
Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Heerman.
Aye.
Jensen. Cole. Aye. Mullally.
No.
Roby.
Aye.
Van Diepen.
Aye.
Weisgram.
Aye.
Ladner.
Aye.
Jameson.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are 10 yeas, 2 nays, 1 excused.
Thank you. Senate Bill 165 has received the necessary votes to move to the floor. Okay, any other business in front of the body? Seeing none, I would take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Representative Heerman, seconded by Representative Ladner to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.
SDPB serves South Dakota through an interconnected communication system that is on 24/7, 365. The first place for Amber Alerts, public safety announcements, and EAS messages. SDPB keeps public servants and citizens informed. Good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB. SDPB brings you closer to your government. With gavel-to-gavel coverage of the South Dakota legislature and in-depth reporting from Pierre. Good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB. From early learners to lifelong students, SDPB inspires curiosity through trusted educational programs and resources for every stage of life. Good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB. When South Dakotans need reliable information, SDPB is there providing updates and coverage that keep our communities safe and connected. Good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB. SDPB celebrates South Dakota's student athletes with live coverage of SDHSAA state championships, sharing the excitement of hometown heroes. SDPB. Good, useful, and full of wonder. From choir to debate to theater, SDPB shines a spotlight on South Dakota's talented students through SDHSAA All-State Fine Arts Programming. Good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB. Every day, SDPB connects South Dakotans with stories that inform, inspire, and bring us together. SDPB, good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB is your home for fact-based journalism, connecting South Dakotans with news they can trust and stories that matter. Good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB. From children's programs to in-depth documentaries, SDPB sparks curiosity and lifelong learning in every South Dakotan. SDPB. Good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB brings South Dakotans together, telling the stories that unite small towns, big ideas, and the people who make our state shine. Good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB. SDPB shares the voices and experiences of South Dakotans, preserving our stories, our culture, and our sense of place. SDPB, good, useful, and full of wonder. As South Dakota's public media network, SDPB serves everyone with transparency, integrity, and commitment to open access. Good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB. SDPB helps shape South Dakota's future by educating, informing, and inspiring the next generation of thinkers, leaders, and creators. SDPB. Good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB serves South Dakota through an interconnected communication system that is on 24/7, 365. The first place for Amber Alerts, public safety announcements, and EAS messages. SDPB keeps public servants and citizens informed. Good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB. SDPB brings you closer to your government. With gavel-to-gavel coverage of the South Dakota Legislature and in-depth reporting from Pierre. Good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB. From early learners to lifelong students, SDPB inspires curiosity through trusted educational programs and resources for every stage of life. Good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB. When South Dakotans need reliable information, SDPB is there providing updates and coverage that keep our communities safe and connected. Good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB. SDPB celebrates South Dakota's student athletes with live coverage of SDHSAA state championships, sharing the excitement of hometown heroes. SDPB, good, useful, and full of wonder. From choir to debate to theater, SDPB shines a spotlight on South Dakota's talented students through SDHSAA All-State Fine Arts programming. Good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB. Every day, SDPB connects South Dakotans with stories that inform, inspire, and bring us together. SDPB, good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB is your home for fact-based journalism, connecting South Dakotans with news they can trust and stories that matter. Good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB. From children's programs to in-depth documentaries, SDPB sparks curiosity and lifelong learning in every South Dakotan. SDPB. Good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB brings South Dakotans together, telling the stories that unite small towns, big ideas, and the people who make our state shine. Good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB. SDPB shares the voices and experiences of South Dakotans, preserving our stories, our culture, and our sense of place. SDPB, good, useful, and full of wonder. As South Dakota's public media network, SDPB serves everyone with transparency, integrity, and commitment to open access. Good, useful, and full of wonder. SDPB. SDPB helps shape South Dakota's future by educating, informing, and inspiring the next generation of thinkers, leaders, and creators. SDPB. Good, useful, and full of wonder.